It is time for the very first edition of 2025's Trump Trolls Trump segment. And we are here to make sure you understand what is really important. And that is mocking Donald and his minions at all times. He made it really easy this week. I mean, come on, New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago. How much worse can it get? Well, let's start by watching Elon Musk and Donald both having a stroke at the same time. Well, sorry, I was misinforming you. They were actually dancing. Um, Sorry to say, get used to it because that is going to become the official dance of all Republicans everywhere. Anyway, in addition to that brilliant performance, there was a lot more going on. Seriously, the people who pay $200,000 a year to be members really got their money's worth because Lara, Eric's wife, former co-chair of the RNC, took to the stage to scream loudly in people's faces. No, actually, I think she was singing "You Be the Judge."
The walls stand around, won't be turned around. And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground.
Wow. There's something to be said for self-awareness. But okay. First of all, have you never heard of autotune? And some people should never sing a cappella. Some instruments would have really come in handy there. I'm sure everybody stayed till the end of the performance. Okay, before we jump into other ways to mock Donald and his crew, I just want to take a second to ask you please to like and share this video. Also, subscribe to our channel. And after you do that, just click on the bell so you can be sure to be notified every time a new video drops. Also, if you're listening to the podcast version, please give us a 5-star rating because it really helps other people find the show and it helps us to combat the trolls and follow us. All right. So the H-1B visa fight is still going on between the MAGA nativists and the tech bro oligarchs. Donald, if you'll remember, has previously stated quite unequivocally that he was against the use of HB1 visas, calling it a cheap labor program. Not entirely sure why we would have had a problem with that. But on Tuesday at Mar-a-Lago, Donald said, quote, "I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country, and we need competent people. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before. Oh, we're going to have so many things like we've never had before." And then the many-shirted Steve Bannon promised to rip off the face of Elon Musk, which seems a little drastic if he doesn't stop pushing visas for skilled foreign workers. He instructed Musk to, quote, "sit back and study," unquote, to understand MAGA's America First policy. Bannon continued, quote, "Don't come up and go to the pulpit in your first week here and start lecturing people about the way things are going to be. If you're going to do that, we're going to rip your face off." This is what that would look like.
He would not be my first choice, that I can tell you. That would not be my first choice.
Yeah. Speaking of people who should not be allowed to be in the positions Donald is nominating them to, Robert Kennedy is promising to keep the country safe from chemtrails. Finally, somebody brave enough to speak the truth. So listen, first of all, this guy has way too much time on his hands. Like, how many conspiracy theories can one person dabble in? So in addition to being an anti-vaxxer who believes vaccines cause autism, they don't, or that fluoride is poisoning our public water systems. It's not. It just keeps kids from getting really bad cavities, or that AIDS isn't caused by the HIV virus. It is. He now feels the need to enlighten us about the non-existent things called chemtrails. He said, quote, "We are going to stop this crime." It was kind of frightening to think that somebody may be putting large amounts of bioavailable aluminum into the environment, spraying it in microscopic particulates from airplanes, unquote, which is just a really convoluted way of saying water vapor. Yeah, so be very, very careful. More good news. Rudolph Giuliani may be in even more trouble. He had to appear in a New York City court on Friday for a hearing into whether or not he should be found guilty of contempt of court. He has ignored court orders so frequently, including failing to surrender a valuable signed New York Yankees jersey and other material goods that he needs to hand over to the two women he defamed and whose lives he ruined. That would be Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. He was found to have defamed them and was ordered to pay $146 million in damages, and he is still refusing to cooperate. So let's hear what Rudy had to say about this.
The reality is, I have no cash. It's all tied up. So right now, if I wanted to call a taxi cab, I can't do it. I don't have a credit card. I don't have a checking account. I have no place I can go take cash out except the little bit that I saved, and it's getting down to almost nothing.
Oh, so sad. Also, he probably doesn't need to take a taxi because he probably has a chauffeur-driven limousine. The guy is so full of shit. I hope he gets found in contempt, and I hope somebody is put in charge of liquidating all of his assets so Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman can get on with their lives. Okay, so new year, new face. Have you heard that before? I haven't, but Matt Gaetz definitely has. He debuted his new OAN show and had, of all people, on Thomas Massey to be his first guest. And Matt Gaetz's look sparked a little bit of controversy online, prompting him to say, quote, appearance always seems to be of great interest to people, and he's never really understood why. Well, maybe because it looks like you were trying to get into a witness protection program, but obviously we could still tell it was you. Here's a clip from that show with Massey about Massey's support for Mike Johnson. Check it out.
You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
Yeah, they're not drama queens or anything. You know what does make me want to pull my fingernails out? Having to see Matt Gaetz on my television. Okay, so Christmas came a little bit late in New York, but, well, it could be worse. Justice Juan Merchan ruled on Friday that Donald will actually be sentenced in the trial for which he was found guilty of 34 felonies. And now remember, this was the case that has erroneously been referred to as the hush money case, but was actually an election interference case. So Donald's motion to dismiss was denied. So Merchan will bring Donald into court to sentence him. Unfortunately, it is extremely unlikely that there will be a prison sentence involved. It will probably be a fine. So, it's hard for me to be happy about that. But I guess it's better than nothing. However, do not despair, because you know who else doesn't seem to be happy about anything? Donald Trump. How do I know this? Well, on January 20th, as you're all well aware, there's going to be something called an inauguration. This is a whole day that is going to, well, not for all of us, but is generically a celebration of the person being sworn in to the presidency, right? This is an occasion for which people like Bezos and Zuckerberg and Tim Cook at Apple are throwing millions of dollars at Donald so he can have this massive celebration. And you know what? It's still not enough. The day before that, on January 19th, he's going to be holding a rally. So if you're upset that this guy has never been held accountable for anything, I completely understand it. I find it deeply upsetting too. However, he's a miserable, miserable human being whose ego is so weak and fragile and broken that he is so thirsty. He has to have 2 days to celebrate his inauguration. just pathetic.